let's talk about sleep. In my opinion, sleep is probably one of the biggest factors in terms of improving overall athletic performance. All the information I got for this video, I really collected from, a variety of sources that I trust, and people, wonderful doctors and sleep specialists who I've connected with over the years on the national team and in our local community to help me kind of gather this general sense of what sleep can do for us and how to utilize it the best. Sleep is an essential component of our health and well-being. Not only does it affect kind of our physiological abilities, but it also impacts like our emotional regulation, our cognitive abilities, how clearly we think, and overall has a great impact on our quality of life. For athletes, sleep is a hugely important part of our recovery and adaptation process that we need to have in between our workouts. And evidence actually suggests that more sleep and better quality of sleep can have an even greater impact on athletic performance. And better quality of sleep also reduces the risk of injury and illness, which certainly get in the way of competitive success and overall athletic performance. Most adolescents need, experts say pretty much between 8 to 10 hours of sleep. But it also depends on other factors. Illness is a thing to consider. How much activity you have during a day is a thing to consider. Physiological and psychological stress are all things that we need to factor in terms of how much sleep we need. So it's pretty safe to say that athletes probably need more sleep than the average person. There's a few things to consider in terms of what is the overall quality of your sleep. How long does it take you to fall asleep? Do you fall asleep pretty quickly? Does it take you a long time to fall asleep? That's certainly a factor in terms of quality of sleep. Good sleep tends to be indicated by being able to fall asleep in under 30 minutes, but not always. Another thing to consider is how many times you wake up throughout the night. If you're waking up multiple times throughout the night, that's probably an indication of poor sleep. Good sleep is usually one, hopefully no times waking up throughout the night. Because every time you wake up, you are disrupting your sleep rhythm, and you have to start over essentially every time that you fall back asleep. Another thing to watch out for is how long are you awake after you wake up in the night. If you fall immediately back to sleep, you probably didn't disrupt your sleep cycle all that much. But if you are awake for, more than 10 minutes, then that's, probably an indication of a poor quality of sleep. And then how much time that you spent in bed were you asleep? Right, that's the big picture. How much time did you spend awake before you fall asleep? How many times did you wake up, and how much time did you spend awake? Ideally we want to spend 85% of the time that we spend in bed asleep. So if right now you rate yourself as, maybe not having the greatest quality of sleep, how can we improve our sleep quality? One step is just to build a consistent sleep routine or a consistent sleep habit. Try to go to bed at the same time every night and try and wake up at the same time every morning. Our body likes habits and rhythms, and the stronger that you set that rhythm of going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, the easier it will be to fall asleep right when you go to bed and then sleep through the night until you wake up. Another big one is no screens, for that last hour before you go to bed. Screens emit, some pretty strong blue lights, which, studies have shown that kind of wires our brains and keeps us awake a little bit. So if you can spend that last hour before you go to bed, avoiding screen time, maybe just doing some simple things like reading books or finishing up things that you can finish up around the house, it gives your brain some good time to wind down and prepare for sleep. Having your room a little bit cooler helps slow your heart rate down, which is going to help you put to sleep. And also, trying to have your room dark. Dark helps us fall asleep and stay asleep. Coach, I could never fall asleep the night before a big meet or a big race. And that's pretty common. Often, swimmers of all competitive levels kind of feel that before a meet or a particular race, where that night before they're kind of filled with nerves and anxiety, and they just have trouble falling asleep. And I think, probably the most important thing to remember if that happens to you is, one, don't stress. Adding more stress about laying in bed awake and not falling asleep probably isn't helping with the stress and anxiety levels that are already the cause of the reason that you're not asleep yet. And it's important to keep in mind that if you practice good sleep habits consistently for a while, until that night, that one night of sleep probably isn't going to have an overall massive impact on your performance the next day. So don't stress. But if it's becoming a regular occurrence, you can try things to help calm your mind and kind of release that anxiety, and that might help you fall asleep. And that's going to be different for everyone. There are apps out there that are really great. Some apps that just play some soundscapes that help you shut down your mind a little bit. There are some apps that walk you through some meditation that helps you kind of refocus and center your mind around one thing and not the chaos of all of the things that you might be feeling. But you have to try a couple things out and see what works for you, because everyone's different. And if you have serious issues with sleeping and you really can't find a routine and even shutting off your screens and being consistent about your falling asleep time and waking up time, if none of those things really feel like they're helping you, and you notice that lack of sleep is not only just affecting your athletic performance, but affecting your mood, affecting the way your brain functions, your cognitive abilities, and your overall quality of life, then you really should go and talk to an expert, talk to a doctor, and get their opinion, because they're going to have a much more better sense of what you need to help you develop and maintain great sleep habits.